Hello, and welcome back to another video. Today, I'll walk you through the basic setup of a FortiGate device, followed by some key hardening tips. By the end of this video, you'll know how to configure a brand new FortiGate and deploy it securely in your network. So stick around until the end, and don't forget to subscribe and give this video a like if you find it helpful. Let's get started. Whenever you purchase a new FortiGate device, it comes with a set of default settings that are consistent across all models. The default IP address of the device is 192.168.199, and the default username is admin. To connect, plug your computer into port 1 on the FortiGate. Your computer will automatically receive an IP address from the FortiGate's built-in DHCP server, allowing you to access the device through your browser. The default username is admin, and since this is a brand new device, no password is set. Because having an account without a password is a security risk, the FortiGate will immediately prompt you to create a new password upon first login. Once the password is set, you'll be required to log in again using your new credentials. After logging in for the first time, you'll be guided through some initial setup steps. You can choose to use the FortiConverter migration tool if you're migrating from a previous configuration. If you want, you can enable automatic firmware updates to keep your system up to date with the latest security patches. Lastly, you can configure your dashboard layout to suit your monitoring and management preferences. After successfully logging in, you'll be presented with the default dashboard. The system information box shows details like the host name, serial number, firmware version, and more. The license box displays information about paid licenses and Fortinet services. If you're planning to use FortiGate Cloud services, this is the box that will tell you whether it's active or not. Next is the Security Fabric box, which I'm not going to cover in this video. In general, what Fortinet refers to as the Security Fabric is the combination of Fortinet services and devices working together across an infrastructure. For the purposes of this video, the Security Fabric consists only of this single FortiGate device. The next box is the Administrators section, which shows information about currently logged in administrators. You can also find data here about current CPU usage and memory consumption. Alright, now let's move on to the interfaces. By default, you'll see a LAN interface, and it's usually set up as a hardware switch. That just means it combines a bunch of physical ports into one virtual interface. In this case, there are 12 physical ports, and they are all part of that LAN group. But don't worry, for a basic setup, you really only need to use one of those ports. There are also some other interface types, like DMZ and HA, but we're not going to get into those in this video. Now, let's talk about the WAN interface. You're definitely going to need that one. This model is the ATE, and it comes with two WAN ports. Some of the smaller FortiGate models usually have just one, but you might run into others with more than two. Either way, we just need to set up at least one WAN interface so we can connect the FortiGate to your ISP's router. Alright, let's start with the LAN interface. Go ahead and select it, then click Edit at the top. You can remove any interfaces you're not using, or just tweak them based on what you need. For this setup, I'm sticking with port 1 and port 2. Now, edit the LAN interface again. This is where you set the IP subnet for your internal network. Just make sure it's in the same range as the rest of your devices. For this video, I'm going with 192.168.199 as the LAN IP. Scroll down a bit. Here's where you can adjust the DHCP range and add DNS IP addresses if needed. You might also want to tweak the lease time. Remember, lease time is in seconds. So if you want 8 hours, that's 28,800 seconds. Let's take a quick look at the computer's IP address. It should now be something in the 192.168.100 subnet range. But nope, it's not there yet. No problem. Open the control panel, disable the network adapter, and re-enable it. Check the IP again. It should now be on the correct subnet. Now just log into the firewall again using the new IP address you set. Let's move on and configure the WAN interface. This is the interface that connects your network to your internet service provider's router. I'll leave the settings on default and use DHCP to obtain an address automatically. Now, connect the ISP router using an Ethernet cable. After a short wait, the FortiGate should receive an IP address from the router. Next, we need to make sure the device can communicate with FortiGate and the FortiGuard DNS servers. To do that, click on DNS in the menu on the left side of your screen. If the device shows unreachable or has a high ping, like it does here, you need to disable the TLS protocol. Click Specify to enable the DNS protocol settings, then disable TLS and enable DNS. After that, the ping should no longer be high. Let's do a quick command line ping test to check if the computer can access the internet. As you can see, everything is working fine. We're getting replies from google.com, but we're not done configuring the device yet. Now click on the Policy and Objects menu. This is where all the firewall rules live. Basically, it controls how traffic moves across your network. I'm going to sort the policies by sequence to make it easier to follow. Here's the idea. Each policy has a number, a source and destination interface, source and destination addresses, a schedule for when the policy applies, the services it covers, and what action it takes. That action will either be accept or deny, nothing else. If NAT is enabled on the policy, you'll see a little NAT marker here. And there's also a spot for security profiles, which we'll cover in a bit. Basically, these policies are what let devices talk to each other across the network. By the way, if you're finding this walkthrough useful, don't forget to subscribe and like for more guides like this. Another important step is to configure a static route. This ensures that all traffic destined for outside your network goes through your ISP's router. To set it up, add a static route with the destination address set to 0.0.0.0/0 if it's not already there. For the gateway IP, use the IP address of your ISP's router. Usually, this will be the IP assigned to your WAN interface. If your WAN interface is set to DHCP, like in my case, select the Dynamic Gateway option. If you're using a static IP on the WAN interface, then enter the ISP router's IP manually. Now, click on Addresses under Policy and Objects. I will configure a new address object of type subnet. This object will make more sense later in the video. Because it's a subnet address object, I will include my whole internal network. Back to the firewall policies again, and this time select the existing policy and delete it. We are going to create a new one. Click Create New at the top. This will be my LAN to WAN policy. Set the incoming interface to LAN and the outgoing to WAN interface. For the source address, I will use the newly created LAN subnet address object, and for the destination address, I'll use all addresses. Finally, this policy will allow all services. Now, let's check again if communication is possible. Yes, we get a ping reply from google.com once again. Next, I will configure a security profile service. Click on Security Profiles and select Web Filter. Create a new web filter profile and name it whatever you like. Mine will be called LAN Web Filter. This is the part of the configuration where you allow or block specific types of communication. Usually, in a corporate environment, websites that are potentially dangerous should be blocked. Categories you might want to block include drugs, hacking, gambling, pornography, and so on. allow or block these categories according to your organization's needs. I also like to block invalid URLs and any malicious URLs detected by FortiSandbox. Now, let's apply this web filter profile to our policy. Select the policy we created earlier and click Edit. Further down in the configuration, enable the web filter option, and from the list that appears, select the web filter profile we just created. Also, change the SSL inspection setting to certificate inspection. Policy profiles are critical for security in a corporate environment. Keep in mind, this is a paid service from Fortinet, charged per year and per device as of 2025. Now let's configure some settings to tweak and harden the device. Click on System, then Feature Visibility. Here you'll find many functions, but most of them aren't used right now. I'm going to disable some of them, but feel free to disable whatever you're not using. Disabling unused functions saves CPU power and memory. Next, click Settings. Here you can change the hostname of the device and set the time zone. It's critical for the device to have the correct time configured. As a general rule, you should disable access to the device via the HTTP port. Change the default ports to something that suits your needs. I usually change the HTTPS port, SSH, and also the Telnet ports. Further down, under Password Policy, click on Admin. Turn on the switch for character requirements and adjust these values to enforce a strong password policy. Now, if you log in again, you'll notice the IP address of the firewall is the same, but this time it includes the port number we configured. Another good tip is to delete the default admin account. You can do this by going to System, then Administrators. Click on Create New. Set a username for the new admin, followed by a password and an admin profile. A full firewall admin corresponds to the super admin profile. Log in with the new credentials, then head back to System, Administrators to delete the default admin account. Simply select the admin account and click Delete. The last one on our list is the log settings. Personally, I like to log everything I can. It might be very useful one day if you need to troubleshoot an issue. And that's it for today's demo. Thanks so much for watching this tutorial. I really hope this video helped you get your new FortiGate up and running. If you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Your support means a lot and helps the channel grow.